Okay, hey folks, Mark Lockley here, and this is a opening video just to welcome you to the DBA210 Summer of 2025 course. And I went through the participation list for the students in the class. I think I've had just about everybody in the class, so you're probably familiar with how I teach and sort of how I, what my course structure in Moodle looks like. So this will be very similar to other classes that you've had with me. So I will share my screen here. So this is the second year I've taught this class, so I'm sort of still sort of tweaking the Moodle sh shell a bit. So first thing is this is an 8-week class, and so again, generally we have assignments due each week. That'll continue with the exception of the first week. And basically what I did is sort of compressed the first 2 weeks. What last summer, the first 2 weeks were sort of a bit slow. So I really kind of compressed those. And so if you notice in the Moodle shell, I've got a week 1A and 1B. And so what that is I have assignments due. This is a calendar here. So class starts on the 6th, June 6th. You have an assignment due on the 10th. And then you also have an assignment due on the 13th. So that's on the 10th is a Tuesday, 13th is a Friday. And then that's the first week. And then after that, then it'll just be sort of a typical assignment, coding assignments, and the work will be due each Friday after that. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, all the dates are set up inside Moodle. Again, week 1A is here, and you notice I've got the yeah, I've got the assignment due date. Actually I need to modify that. I've got the assignment due date here set up on the 10th for 1A, and then for 1B. Let's double check this. It's on set for the 13th. So yeah, the 10th and the 13th. So I'll modify the text in the other one. Yeah, I need to modify this text up here, but I've got the assignment dates on the coding exercises set. So anyway, first week is a little different in that you've got two due dates for two separate assignments. And then after that, starting with week two, it'll be assignments will be due each Friday at 12 p.m. noon. So there's that. Each assignment, again, typically how I do, you'll have a screencast associated with that. Or that'll be a sort of a screencast from me, which is sort of my take on whatever the concepts or the work is for the week. And then I may have some additional, uh, YouTube videos or other resources, other learning resources that are assigned each week. The learning material for this class is going to be a combination of the Mirac book. So we're going to continue with the MySQL Mirac book. We'll continue with a few of the chapters that we'll pick up with a few of the chapters where we left off in DBA 120. So you'll be starting those, and I think those start on week two. And that's a typical, again, you'll be working from the book, modifying some of the book exercises in addition to the My Guitar Shop exercises. And then you'll also have some of these what I'm calling fix it exercises. And let's see, I think those start in chapter two. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm doing these what are called fix-its. I've got a Google Doc that I'm maintaining here. And basically what these are is I'm going to give you some database schema, and you're going to be asked to fix it. Basically, there's going to be an issue with it, and it could be anything from it could violate one of the normal forms. It might be missing key information or constraints. The table structure might not be correct. The syntax might be off. So, and I may be sort of modifying this a bit as we go through the semester, but each week I've got 5 of these here, so you're not doing one every week, but I think weeks 2 through week 6 maybe, or week 7, you'll be doing this fix it exercises. So there's that piece. You'll also have the, oops, sorry, I closed. Get back there. You'll also have the quiz each week you'll be doing. And the Mirac, and these are going to be quizzes from the Mirac chapters. So those will be sort of typical of what you saw last semester. So that's weeks two, three. So then there's that piece. The other sort of big piece is the Azure. The work we'll be doing inside Azure. Now, again, those of you, the majority of you did, I think probably not everybody, but the majority of you took DBA 120 this last spring. We used an Azure database instance there. Everybody had their own database. We're using a single instance. This semester, you will be spinning up, creating your own Linux server, and then installing MySQL in addition to doing a whole bunch of other stuff too. And again, the goal, this class, let me say this about the class that this class is database administration. But oftentimes, when you're administering a database, you're administering really more than just the database itself. You generally have to often administer the system that the database lives on. So that's part of the goal here. So we will be outside of the scope of just sort of pure MySQL, in that again, you're going to be asked to create a Linux server, and then there'll be some maintenance you'll do on that Linux server, and then you'll be creating a MySQL instance that lives on that Linux server. So that's going to be an important part of what we're doing. Okay, so you'll be doing that basically weeks in the first week. In fact, let me go into coding exercises here for week one. So the way this works is you'll be clicking on this. So let's go to Window. You'll be signing up for this free Azure account. You'll use your ABTech account to sign up here. This is based on the .edu, so you need to be sure to use your ABTech email address here. And the way this works is you'll get $100 in free credit to spend on Azure, and then that's enough. I mean, the servers we're creating, let me say that about the video, the opening video where I spin up the Azure server I've got. I think I mentioned there it was $7 or $8 a month. That seems to have changed some. I made that video last summer. I was thinking about redoing it, but I think I'm just going to stick with that. So the numbers may be a little different now. I actually went in and sort of clicked through. I didn't create a server, but looks like they're about $12 a month now. I mean, either way, it should be fine for the summer. Just again, you've got $100 in free credit there. Should not need to put a credit card. Shouldn't need to use a credit card or anything like that. So don't enter a credit card. But do be mindful of the server that you create. Be able to sort of or make sure you create that sort of the cheaper instance of the Ubuntu server, just so you're not just so you're not you don't use up your credits. You don't use up all your credits before the semester is over. So there's that. Yeah. And so in addition to that, I've got some Ubuntu Linux LinkedIn Learning courses that you'll be taking. Um, Click on this. Just you can see this. And these are just going to walk you through some Ubuntu basics. I mean, some of this you probably picked up on from DBA 120, maybe using the command line there. But again, there's just a handful of commands like copying files, moving files around inside a Linux environment that you'll need to be able just to maintain the server and do everything you need to do there. So there's that piece. So the other piece, and so generally, again, similar to other courses I teach, all of the content's there. It's basically done week 6. I don't quite have fully fleshed out yet, so feel free to work ahead, but it may take me a couple of weeks. I'm not quite. I'm still doing some work on week 6, but basically one through 5 is done, and then of course weeks 7 through 8 are the final project, and so the last 2 weeks of the course are going to be very similar to what we did again in DBA 120, where you've basically got this final project. And so the way I do the last 2 weeks is the second to last week, week 7, is going to be the final project review. You're going to submit a you're going to, well, let's just look at what I've got on the coding exercises for chapter 7. I basically introduce the final project here, and then you're going to be asked to submit, your sort of narrative summary about the database that you want to create for the final project, and then sort of a basic ERD. Doesn't have to be fully fleshed out, but again, the idea is that you're submitting it to me for sort of approval so it makes sense for you to do for the final project. Again, very similar to what you did in DBA 120. The only difference being that it's going to be up to you to come up with what the business is. I think we did the elegant occasions uh, database for DBA 120, which is the wedding service. Well, rather than me giving you, the business and the requirements, it's going to be up to you to come up with that and then create all of the documentation and the database schema, narrative, entity relationship diagram. It's going to be up to you to create all of that for your own business. So, again, this is very similar. I mean, the other thing that this reinforces, or at least it's going to set you up for, is your final capstone course that you do next spring. Basically, this is what you're going to have to do. It's going to be up to you for your capstone uh, project to come up with a application and then the supporting database documentation and schema for that. So I think it's good practice for that. That's really about it. Of course, so again, everything again, other than the first week where you've got two assignments due, everything else is just, we're sort of taking things a week at a time. Assignments are due on Friday. I didn't make any exceptions for the 4th of July week. Obviously, I'll tell you now, I'm going to be on vacation. I've got a lot kind of going on right now. I'm actually going to be in Iowa next week for a conference, and then I'll be getting back like the day that class starts. So probably when you're first seeing this, I'll just be getting back from that. We've got a week's vacation planned during 4th of July week. So, life doesn't stop. I understand that life doesn't stop when you've got a course in the summer like this, but you've got to plan accordingly. I'm having to plan accordingly with my schedule, around the class and making sure my schedule is making it so I'm available to grade and answer questions and do things like that. So, from a student's perspective, you're going to have to do the same thing if you're planning. I'm sure many of you, in fact, I would hope you would. You've got some vacation planned this summer. You're going to be doing fun things. So just look ahead at the schedule and make plans for that. If you know you're going to be if you know you've got something planned for a few days or for a week, try to front load that work and get it done up front so you can enjoy your time. So I think that's all I'll share for now. Looking forward to the class. I think this is a good, you're getting uh, some good real world skill here, and this is really going to build on everything we did in DBA 120. Again, a lot of uh, uh, from the database perspective in DBA 120, a lot of the system kinds of things were already done for you as far as the platform and the Azure database we use was already built. So in this case, you're actually going to be installing, again, setting up your own server, installing your own instance of MySQL, and sort of maintaining that. So I think from a practical standpoint, it's going to really empower you and give you the skill you need to go out and set your own database up, your own server, and be able to maintain those things. So I think that's all for now. Looking forward to the class. As always, if you have any questions or issues, feel free to let me know. And good luck.